Tired of losing streaks?
Yes.
Not sure which heroes to pick after the latest patch?
Yes.
Want to know the top 15 heroes to help you dominate in MLBB?
Yes.
Don't worry, Papa Kazuki has got you covered. Hi guys, Kazuki here, and in this video let's take a look at all the heroes who will help you rank faster before the season ends. Alright, let me tell you the criteria I use to pick the heroes. The heroes are being picked for their statistics, they are also being picked overall how solid they are in the meta, and the most importantly, just some good heroes. The first hero we are going to talk about today will be Gadot Kaja. Gadot Kaja is so wonderful. He now is a great hero who can provide everything you want from him, damage to CC.
Bye, have a great time.
A few inches later.
Easy!
The item adjustments made were excellent to him, and he is almost unkillable if you know how to itemize properly and position yourself. That's the reason why he has the third highest win rate. A few tips for Gadot players. As we all know, Gadot Kaja is an aggressive tank thanks to his passive and a few core items. Because of that, he can be fit into multiple roles like a tank, an EXP laner, and even a mid laner. So picking him first will be your go-to choice. In every draft, it doesn't matter if it is a solo queue or a 5-man draft. Whatever you are being chased, use your second skill to taunt and run. Because they get close with dash skills, they will be taunted, and if they don't use dash, you will be putting distance between them and you. Here are the suggested builds and emblems for Gadot Kaja. Now let's jump into Ruby. She is not just any hero, she's got that swag with the 13th highest win rate right now. Ruby's gameplay is all about sustain and crowd control. She is one of those heroes who just refuses to die. Ruby thrives in drawn out battles thanks to her lifesteal and constant healing. She is that solid pick you can count on when you need a hero to the front line, annoy the enemy team and heal up like crazy. The key to Ruby is her spellvamp passive, which works on every skill she casts. The more she fights, the more she heals. So don't just stand around waiting for cooldown, keep spamming those abilities, especially in team fights. Ruby is best played as a semi-aggressive fighter. You don't want to dive headfirst into 1v5, but don't be afraid to get in close and dish out some CC with her second skill. Here are the suggested builds and emblems for the Ruby. Now let's talk about Hyos, the big guy with a solid 40% ban rate. Yeah, you heard that right. Hyos is so OP right now that players just don't want to deal with him. And honestly, who can blame them? This dude is walking fortress. His durability is off the charts and he's an absolute nightmare to fight against because of his insane sustain and crowd control. Hyos works best as a frontline tank, soaking up damage for his team and stunning enemies with his first skill. And he deals so much damage, it's just frustrating. The glorious pathway creates a huge lane that boosts movement speed for your team while slowing down the enemies. This makes him perfect for both initiating team fight and retreating when things get too heated. You can either rush into battle with your squad at high speed or use it to escape tricky situations. In team fights, position yourself right in the middle of the enemy team. Here are the builds and emblems for this monster. Let's talk about Arisa, the slow but deadly S-tier beast. This guy is not the fastest on the battlefield, but when he swings, it hurts. Arisa is all about high burst damage and tankiness, which makes him perfect for diving into fights and dishing out some serious punishment. He is one of those heroes that you don't want to mess with in the late game, because once he gets his items, he can pretty much 1v3 without breaking a sweat. What makes Arisa unique is his passive. The lower his HP gets, the less damage he takes. So the longer the fight, the harder it is to bring him down. Pair that with his skill set and you have got a hero who can control fights with his AoE damage and crowd control. His first skill, Revenge Strike, is great for closing gaps and dealing some solid damage, while his second skill, Execution Strike, lets him hit multiple enemies in a wide arc. But the real star of the show is his ultimate, Penalty Zone. It's a game changer in teamfights, pulling enemies towards the center and stunning them. It's a perfect tool for disrupting the enemy team and setting up kills for your squad. For tips, always look for opportunity to hit multiple enemies with your second skill. Positioning is key here. Here are the suggested builds and emblems to smash your enemies apart. Now let's move on to Argus. Sitting pretty at the 4th highest win rate. If you're looking for a hero that can turn any fight around, Argus is your guy. His kit is built for those clutch moments where you are about to go down. But instead of dying, you come back swinging with vengeance. Argus is one of those heroes that excels in both 1v1 situations and team fights. His ultimate is literal lifesaver, allowing him to avoid death for a few seconds and heal up while dishing out damage. This makes him a nightmare to deal with, especially in the late game. When playing Argus, always engage with your first skill, Demonic Grip, to close the gap and start dealing damage. Save your ultimate when you are low on health and about to get busted down. This is the key to staying alive and turning fights around. His passive, which enhances his basic attacks after every few hits, always makes him a solid split pusher. So if your team's in trouble, don't be afraid to take a side lane and push towers solo. Here are the suggested builds and emblems for this absolute banger. Now on to Ling, the slippery assassin with the 3rd highest ban rate. Honestly, it's no surprise why players hate playing against him. Ling's mobility is next level, allowing him to climb walls and rotate across the map faster than most heroes. He is a nightmare for squishy backlines heroes, jumping into fights, deleting carries and escaping before anyone can react. A few tips for Ling mains: stay on the wall as much as possible. The less time you spend on the ground, the harder it is for the enemy to catch you. Always look for squishy heroes in the backline, take them out quickly and get out before the enemy team can respond. And don't waste your ultimate, use it either to secure kills or escape tricky situations. He is just OP now, he shouldn't be this OP, Moontoon, please nerf him. Here are the suggested builds and emblems. Next up, we have got Julian, chilling with the 6th highest ban rate. And honestly, if you have played against him, you know why. This guy is a one-man combo machine. His unique skill system lets him mix and match abilities, making him super unpredictable. He doesn't have an ultimate like other heroes, instead his abilities evolve once leveled up, giving him massive burst of power in fights. That's what makes Julian so hard to deal with. He can throw out crowd control, burst damage and mobility all in one go. The best part about Julian is his flexibility. Whether you need burst damage or crowd control, he's got you covered. You can switch up your playstyle depending on the situation. This man is a beast with Sky Piercer, just his 3-1 combo can delete his enemies. Here are the suggested builds to maximize his power. Let's talk about Roger, the dual form menace who is still holding his ground as a solid pick. This guy got versatility like no other, being able to switch between ranged and melee forms. He is perfect for diving into fights and securing kills. In human form, Roger can poke from a distance and slow enemies with his first skill, while his wolf form is all about burst damage and shredding enemies up close. The key to mastering Roger is knowing when to switch forms. In his wolf form, the first skill has a little bit of immunity, so if you can time it, like Lancelot's second skill, you can avoid a lot of things. But guys, Roger has HP based damage on his human form and lowest HP based damage in his wolf form. So make sure you don't go in wolf form when your enemy's HP is high. You will deal less damage. Here are the suggested builds and emblems for Roger. Next, let's dive into Hellcut, the Dark Assassin who's known for his silence and burst damage. His high mobility and crowd control makes him a real terror for enemies' carries. Hellcut's ultimate Dark Night Falls is a game changer, reducing enemy vision and silencing them, which can completely disrupt their strategy. This makes it perfect for catching out enemies and starting fights on your terms. In battle, use Hellcut's first skill, Shadow Energy, to quickly close gaps and deal significant CC that sets them up for his second skill. His second skill, Shadow Assault, lets him use his stingers to deal a lot of damage. Just make sure that you don't miss them or don't use them at low stakes. Here are the suggested builds and emblems for Hellcut. Let's focus on Mosco, the marksman who is making waves in the current meta. Mosco's standout feature is his ability to deal massive damage from a distance. His first skill, Abyss Walker, is great for mobility, and to deal damage, it's like one of his iconic skills, so use it properly. His second skill, Spear of Misery, helps in the iconic wall trap that you see all the Moscow players do. This skill also puts distance between you and your enemies, so use it like that. However, it's his ultimate, Spear of Destruction, that truly sets him apart. His ability lets him throw a spear across the battlefield, dealing damage and giving him the ability to teleport. This guy is a jump scare machine now. To excel with Moscow, stay at the backline during fights and use your skill to maximize your damage output. His ultimate is perfect for catching enemies out of position or finishing off low health targets. Use these builds and emblems for Moscow. Next, let's talk about Popol and Koopa, the dynamic duo who is always a solid choice for the marksman role. Popol and Koopa are versatile with great lane control and jungle. Popol's first skill allows Koopa to deal damage and provide crowd control. The key to playing Popol and Koopa is using Koopa's skills effectively. Use Koopa to zone enemies and initiate fights, while Popol deals damage from a safe distance. They are an amazing duo that can do a lot of things and are very versatile in many roles. This is what makes them so good to pick and win. Here are the suggested builds and emblems for this dynamic duo. Now let's dive into Zask, the ultimate nightmare with a 56% ban rate. Zask's ability to control the battlefield with his ultimate Nightmare Spawn creates a powerful spawn that deals massive damage and makes him unkillable. It has so much slow, it pisses me off. He was off the meta from a long time, but now he is back. He is back to be annoying. To play Zask effectively, position yourself at the backline and use your ultimate to control key areas of the battlefield. Make sure to place your spawn strategically to maximize its impact. Here are the suggested builds and emblems for Zask. Next up is Arlord, one of the strongest EXP laner in the meta. Arlord blooms as a high burst hero who can easily disrupt the enemy team format. His ultimate is one of the most fearful ultimate, which can easily get your enemy off guard. Along with the ability to instantly one-shot any squishy damage dealer, he himself comparatively has good sustain. Always try to abuse your enemy with your second skill, but make sure the cooldown always resets. Just remember to keep an eye on his passive so that you don't end up in a sticky situation. You can use the minion or creeps to get out from a team fight just like this. Practice him for a few matches in Classic and you are ready to dominate in your rank. And don't forget to use this build to do so. Finally, let's talk about Zuzin, the OP mage with the 9th highest ban rate. Man, she's just a monster. She can kite, she can zone, she can CC, she can sustain. Why can she do so many things? It's so hard to play against her, isn't it? That's why she is being banned so much. You don't really need many skills besides basic game sense to play this mage. A few tips for her would be that even though you can have so much mana recovery, it doesn't mean that you have infinite mana. So don't go in without ultimate or a decent amount of stake. Build Cloak of Destiny, it's your core, you can never forget this one item. Here are the suggested builds and emblems for Zuzin. Lastly, let's cover Ikia, a solid hero who's versatile and effective in various situations. Ikia's skills provide a mix of crowd control and damage, making her a great choice for ending games. She's a bit weak when she's against lane bullies, but if it's just your normal marksman, she can hold her own and in some cases bully them if you can abuse her range and her passive heal. The new items pair well with her, and her ultimate, man, her ultimate is just something out of this world. I have seen so many games turn around just because of this thing. So yeah, she has to be here. Here are the suggested builds and emblems for her. So guys, what do you think? Will you be using these heroes? Did your hero make the list? Comment down all your answers below. So that will be all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Keep supporting Kazuki Official.